Okay, recording has started, and I'm trying to get back to my script, sorry. Okay, whenever you're ready.
You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Hi, and welcome to the Health for Life podcast for those who want to build strong trucks and strong bodies. This is Kevin Munez and Trisha Foley, your wellness team, bringing you practical tips and tricks to improve your health.
Welcome, everybody. Thanks for listening in. We are excited to bring you our podcast today. You are going to get a lot of... See, I've already messed up. I was trying to plug my headphones in. I forgot. And then, anyway, take two. Do you want me to just start?
Yeah.
Okay. Welcome, everybody. Thanks so much for listening in. We are excited to bring you our podcast today. You are going to get a lot of information out of today's episode, especially since everyone's feeling the pressure right now of the holiday season. Remember, we'd love your feedback, comments, and reviews. Please post them on Facebook and YouTube.
Yeah. And so, just as you heard, today's podcast is about stress. Everyone experiences stress, but I think it's especially true during the holidays. So today, we're going to share some great tools and resources to support you when you're in the thick of it.
Absolutely. We are going to cover some strategies that can be super helpful when it comes to managing stress, especially during the holidays.
So let's dive in. To start, can you define what stress actually is for everyone?
Yeah, absolutely. Stress is a feeling of emotional or physical tension, but unlike physical stress, emotional stress comes from thoughts about circumstances that make you feel frustrated, angry, or nervous. And in short bursts, stress can really be positive, like when it helps you avoid danger or it motivates you to meet a deadline. But chronic stress can take a major toll on your health.
That's interesting. I think we forget that stress can actually be a good thing in some cases.
Yes, it's definitely our internal alert system. So it tells us to pay attention because there might be danger ahead. And when this happens, hormones that help you get away, like adrenaline, are released. And this can be really useful when you're being chased by something or you need to stay awake for that occasional deadline. But in the 21st century, that's not usually the case.
Yeah, most people are running a million miles an hour these days with a lot of deadlines and responsibilities. Since these things are happening on such a regular basis, the stress hormone instead starts to drain our bodies and cause other health problems.
Yeah, our nervous system is just in overdrive. It doesn't know the difference between being chased by that lion or having a deadline, and it just reacts the same. And at some point, it's going to burn us out.
So, what are some strategies to help press the snooze button on stress?
That's a great question. The first one is to breathe and just take a moment to think about this. When you're stressed, your body is actually in fight or flight, meaning your heart rate increases, you breathe more rapidly, and you're really tense. So, to relieve this, you can take some nice deep breaths. And what this does is it shuts off the fight or flight and calms our nervous system down.
Well, that makes perfect sense. Controlling your breath to let your body know that you're okay.
Exactly. The exercise I like to do is called the 24-second stress buster.
Oh, I'd love to try this. Can you walk me through it?
Yeah, sure. So it's really simple. You can do it anywhere. Basically, what you do is you take a deep breath in for 6 seconds, then you hold it for 6 seconds, then you go ahead and exhale for 6 seconds, and then you just kind of turn your attention to something you're grateful for 6 seconds. And in total, you might have noticed that that's 24 seconds. So you can repeat this as often as you need to.
Oh man, just thinking of that makes me more relaxed.
Yeah, it's actually pretty amazing. And it, again, can be repeated as many times as you need to until you do feel kind of more relaxed. Your shoulders will probably be less tense and you'll just feel better.
All right. Well, now that I'm relaxed, talk to me about the notion that someone's perception of a situation that creates stress, and it's not the actual situation itself.
Oh yeah, this is such a important concept. Most people think that their circumstance creates their stress, but it's actually the thought about their circumstance, and the circumstance itself is actually neutral.
Okay, so for those who haven't heard this before, this is pretty mind blowing. But you're absolutely right. Can you explain this further and maybe give us an example?
Yeah, so let's say someone has a deadline and they are really stressed about it. The deadline is really just a date. It's neutral. If you look at the calendar and you say, okay, you know, it's due on this date at this time, that's completely neutral. It's what the person is making the deadline mean that makes them feel stressed.
I never really thought about it that way. I mean, we're all so busy, and I guess it's easy to blame the circumstance for how we feel. I'm just trying to think back to a time where I had a deadline and I was actually thinking things like, there isn't enough time to finish this, or what if my boss hates it?
Yeah, those are exactly the thoughts I'm talking about. So, again, the circumstance in this example is really just the date. It's those thoughts that make us stressed, right? So the key is catching those thoughts and then really taking a step back and asking yourself if there's any evidence for those thoughts to be true. And remember, breathing allows you some space to think more clearly and give yourself time to reframe what I call that stinking thinking. So, our thoughts are often like those unsupervised toddlers. They make a mess of our mind, and we have to be really careful to manage them because otherwise they can just run off.
So, to sum it up, the circumstance is neutral. We aren't even aware of what we're thinking about, but those thoughts are so powerful, and if left unmanaged, our imaginations can really take over and cause unnecessary stress.
Yes. And it's helpful to know that many thoughts are habit thoughts. So we have, gosh, thousands of thoughts every day. But because our brains like to be efficient, we are really good at repeating exactly the same thoughts day after day. We just need to make sure that these are positive thoughts, which is unfortunately not usually the case. And many of these habit thoughts are also untrue.
Oh man. So we may be repeating thoughts over and over again that are causing more and more stress to happen while we point to the circumstances as the cause.
Yep, exactly. So the good news is once you understand that this is something that you can control, you can start to interrupt that habit and replace it with a thought that is both positive and believable. So the deadline example, instead of thinking there isn't enough time, you could catch that thought and think, okay, there's not really evidence of this. I have 24 hours. How can I prioritize the time that I do have to knock this out? Can you feel the difference?
Yeah. I mean, compared to the original thought of, I don't have enough time, the more accurate thought of, I have 24 hours, how can I prioritize my time, makes me feel less pressured and in more control. So slow down, breathe, catch my thoughts, and then you can reframe them in a more accurate and believable way.
Exactly. And let me just say that this takes practice. You're not going to get it at first. Just keep with it. And, I'll give myself a plug here. If you need some help with this, you can always schedule time for health coaching to help practice this skill. It really does help.
Well, this is definitely powerful stuff. Okay, I want to switch gears now and talk about some resources.
Absolutely. So, although these tools and strategies are helpful, sometimes stress can just be overwhelming and anxiety or depression can start to set in. And there is absolutely no reason to feel embarrassed or ashamed for experiencing these things. But it is really important to have support.
Yes, and one of the options available to you guys is the Employee Assistance Program. And we wanted to make sure that you guys know that it is available at no cost to you, and it's 100% confidential. And we wanted to get you more information on this, so we have a special treat for you and it's going to be a guest interview with our EAP rep. And we will play that at the end of this episode.
Absolutely. So we would also love to hear your ideas and strategies as well. Make sure to post them on Facebook and share them with others. And you may have some tips or tricks that really are helpful for someone else. So I encourage you to schedule a health coaching session at no cost to you by using the Care Here app. Thank you guys for listening in today, and you can always reach us at tfoley@carehere.com.
Or at kevin.muniz@consultant.volvo.com. Thanks for listening, everybody, and we will move us into our interview with the EAP rep. Bye, everybody.